So the purpose of the FCF essentially is to encourage a level playing field for Singaporeans and maintain our values of meritocracy and fairness at the workplace. The FCF therefore needs to be designed in a way that is practical and appropriate for our people. One, that pushes employers to consider Singaporeans fairly, but at the same time avoid making things too rigid for businesses. Now, why does this rigidity matter? Well, it matters because when companies can thrive, opportunities are also created for people. So it is really about catering for an open, diverse, dynamic workforce, but at the same time making sure that there's fair consideration at play. They need not be mutually exclusive. But let us also be very clear that there are no exemptions to the need for firms to consider Singaporeans fairly. All firms must do this. But some practical exemptions have been made for the advertising requirement. And the advertising requirement is just one part of the overall framework. I would stress that the FCF is not just about the advertising requirement. It is also about MOM playing a much more active role to engage firms that do not seem to be doing enough to hire and develop Singaporean PMEs. However, while the FCF signals acceptable norms in HR practices, it is also important for us to understand that it is not the intent, nor is it desirable for us to ensure that every single PME jobs will go to Singaporeans. I think we do need to make sure that the economy remains competitive, and that's probably the best way to look after the interests of all Singaporeans. Employers are best placed to decide which candidates can do the job. What MOM will do is to signal these expectations quite strongly and clearly, and importantly to monitor the firm's HR practices closely to minimize instances of unfair practices.